Hello, everyone. Good morning. How are you? We are going to be painting, or I'm going to be painting landscapes this morning. I'm just moving across to a place where I can see you all and welcome you live. Let's see. Here we are. Good morning, everybody. How are you today? Let me put in an apron on. I have two canvases that I would like to work on this morning. Canvases, and I just got a quick coffee. That's why I'm like a couple of minutes late. Good morning, Julie. Hi, Sarah. How are you? Good morning, C. How are you all? Hello, Meryl. Hi, Louise. Today is Tuesday. No. What is it today? Second, third, fourth, fifth. I almost said 15th, but then I was like jumping ahead a couple of. So I'm getting paint everywhere. Let me just move these. So I have two, and I have all my features packed away to do some fun things maybe in the future. You never know. That was fun. I have the video which I will be posting on Patreon. There was only 3 of us, so I almost didn't record it, but we did record it, so it's there for you. And this is for the eyes, ears, nose and mouth for Patreons. They are only 3. Did we do 3-minute ones? I'm trying to think. Lee was there and Maria was there. I think we did 3-minute ones. Yesterday we painted, or I painted, and we did 3-minute ones. Julie says, I have to thank you. My card from the garden workshop reached the recipient, my aunt, for her 80th birthday. She loved it. Oh, that's lovely. Wonderful. Can you see my camera moving? This is what happens when my daughter walks above me. Oh, okay. So revisiting, Julie says, and thought you are very talented. You are extremely talented, Julie. You should believe it. Believe it, believe it, believe it. I have a small canvas, which used to be a little piece that one of my daughters had sprayed, and I thought I could do a little piece on here. And then I have this one. I don't know if you remember, we did, which I really love the image, but it didn't turn out on here, so I'm going to be painting over this. So I have 2 images that I want to work from today. I have this one and I have this one. I think I'm going to do this one on the larger canvas and this one on the small canvas. So I'm revisiting images, and I got paint on the back of here, so I better make sure that it's not going to go onto the other picture. I love these, but I'd like to practice translating my sketches onto canvas. And I'm not sure if canvas is the way I want to go. I really like doing it on canvas board. It's a little bit harder. And then gessoing as well. So I'm just going to use, I have some leftover paint here from yesterday from my eyes, ears, nose and mouth. The problem with acrylic paint is that it dries and then you waste a lot. But we have ways. We have ways, we have ways, we have ways. Thank you, Julie. Hi, Tash. How are you? Oh, so good to see you. I feel like I haven't been here for a while. Meryl says 5. Oh, the 5th. Yes. Thank you, Meryl. And Julie says, I didn't mention my inspiration. And then she says, she's still very happy, so thank you. Perfect timing, perfect workshop. Great. Good morning, Marianne. So Amy Jury, this one. well, I mean, that is really an honor for you to say about my work, but I don't, like, I really was trying to capture the light in this, but it didn't really work. But you know, you have to try things, and if it works, it works, and if it doesn't, it doesn't. Okay, so I'm gonna just take some paint and scrape it on here. My palette is, I'm gonna be getting rid of my palette, and then I'll work on the small one. So I'm just taking whatever paint didn't. And this way it kind of fills in the gaps as well. I'd like it to be a little bit more, not as textured, but I think under this painting there is another painting as well. Don't worry, no masterpieces made here, so we don't need to worry about anything. Louise says, oh, I remember this painting. Yeah, I still have it. I have the picture on my camera roll that I really want to do. You know how you sometimes take pictures and you're like, ooh, that would make such a good painting, and you have this vision in your head and then you can't execute it. Like, executing it is actually quite difficult. So that's kind of how I felt about this one. I feel like it probably would be really good. No, it would probably be better if it was larger. I feel like constricting it on a little piece like this wasn't the best move. I kind of like these textures too. Is it very noisy for you guys? Is it very like scratchy? Today is Tuesday, so we have 2 classes today. We have the portrait class at 10, and I'm super excited about the subject matter. And then we have virtual art retreat at 1:30, and that is we're in Malaysia, so I'm excited about that as well. Oh, good morning, Janice. Loving your portraits. I see you are taking the Alan Pickard portrait class. Beautiful. Oops. Okay, so just using up whatever paint I have on my palette just to get... I want to just take away some of these textures, but I'm not sure if I'm taking away or adding. Okay, I'm going to let that dry and come back to it. Got some texture, used up a lot of this very paint. I think I used this all weekend, this palette. It's very thick. What are you guys up to? What are you doing? Janice says, thanks. I just did the week $10, week one $10 tester class. I didn't sign up for the class. Not sure if I like pastels that much. You know, I think he uses them in probably quite a traditional way. But if you go to, what's his name? Gambrel. Gambrel has a class on pastels, and you may like that one better. I'm going to pull him up. The class is on Domestika. And, you know, I wouldn't advertise other people's classes if I thought that I could do it as well as them, but I know that I can't do pastels as well as Gambrel. I know he has a first name and I can't remember his first name, but if you don't know Gambrel, definitely go over and check. I always share his work in, and he had a couple of lives, so go and check his lives out. But his pastels are gorgeous, and a lot Lusa. Actually, I think he's live now. Don't go over now though, and leave me here in the dust. Yeah, so he has a class over on Domestika. I like it because he works with really unusual colors, and it's all pastels. So I think you may like Chris Gambrell. Thank you, Janice. Chris Gambrell. Chris Gambrell. Julie. We're sticking with you, no worries. Yeah, like don't, if you really want to go and watch over there, you can. Good morning, Chris. Nice of you to join. Christina, nice of you to join. I always see your Technica Vocal, Chris, and think, who's Chris? And then I'm like, it's Christina. Oh my gosh, it's Christina. All right, let's get started. Yeah, he's a British artist, Chris Gambrell, and fantastic. Love his work. He used to do a lot more fashion drawings, and I think that's where he trained a lot of his stuff. Sorry, I have a lot of junk on my table. Okay, gonna get some paints out. So I also may change the color palette. And I have them on my phone, but I was walking the other day to the park with Piper, and I took a few pictures. So I'm gonna mix my palette here from memory of what I remember, and try and keep those, like, even though I have a different palette in these two, I'm gonna take more of the composition and use a different color palette. Actually, the color palette has notes of these in it, but it was very foggy, and the grass over here in the winter gets like really kind of like a rusty orangey yellow color. It looks like hay, like wet hay, but then with the pine trees that were there in the park, it was a really nice, like, you had like these grays, and you had these dark greens, and you had these rusts as well, and I thought, oh, that's a really nice color palette. So I'm going to try from memory and get the color palette, and then I'm going to work with the color palette on the landscapes. So this is all part of my revisiting landscapes and changing them a little bit, but putting them in painting format. Just trying to do something a little bit different and out there. Louisa says, who is this person? Chris Gambrell? Look at him, look him up. Or maybe you're over there watching the live right now, Louisa. Yeah, what are you guys up to? I don't know what you guys are up to. Anything? Okay, so I'm not sure how much blue I'm gonna need. Oh, I will need. That's okay. I'm gonna put the blues down here. I really don't want them to mix too much in with the yellows. Other than when I am making the greens, obviously. It's very satisfying squeezing these out of. It's so much easier than I used to buy tubs, but this is so much easier, just squeezing out the paints like that. It's so satisfying. Okay. C says, painting a landscape of my birthplace in winter. Lovely, C. All right. Patricia always says you need to use a palette knife to mix paints, but I don't have a palette knife here, so I can't do that. So I'm just going to use paint brushes, but use lots of them. All right, I'm going to make my dark color. I know I should probably make my light colors first, but I'm going to make my green trees. Actually, yeah, it needs to be a lot darker. I think I'm going to need purple and then move into that color, or a lot more red. There, that is what I don't want. I don't want to be messing around with my okay, this could be a lot darker again. Okay. So these are two, I'm going to keep these paintbrushes over here. And I'm going to now mix up my rusty yellow wet hay color. Definitely needs some red in it, but it also needs, is it the cobalt blue that it needs to be in here? Oh no, that's gone a bit too green. I'm going to pull more yellow or more ochre. Now it just looks like a dark ochre. Yeah, I'll put some magenta in there. And then put a tiny little bit of the cobalt, just a tiny bit. Okay, that's good, but I also need a lighter version. It's way too bright. I'm going to take some of this green here, mix it in, and then take some of the ochre into that. Okay, I may have to test these colors out as well. And then I need a gray, so I'm going to take this color here and I'm going to take a tiny little bit more of magenta, and then white again. It's looking a little bit too blue, so I'm going to mix in a little bit of ochre and more white. So this is for the sky. So I think I also have a good range of values, which is important to have. Now this is just a tiny little painting, so it shouldn't take too long. And this is my, I think I'm going to do this one. I think it would be hard to decipher what the other one is on such a small piece. So I'm going to take the gray where I need it first, and I can wrap it as well. Because I may as well use the color while I have it here. Louise says, I was working on last week's portrait class, but now having lunch. Louisa says, I'm not ditching you. I was just looking while I thought of it. I'm procrastinating painting, I guess. Anyone else working on something they want to tell us about? Okay, so I'm going to take this color too down here because it's reflected in the water. So I don't mind these little ones being a little bit textured. Plus it's acrylic. When I think of acrylic, I think of texture. It's not necessarily flat like gouache. Okay, I'm going to take a tiny little bit more of this blue and mix it into the grey here. So just using my colours that I have here. And I'm going to put the mountain in. Good friend in England gave me a lovely little landscape for my birthday, and I think small landscapes are also nice. People can put them anywhere. So it's nice, it's a lovely gift to give someone. It doesn't have to always be this massive painting. All right, I have this green that I'm going to use for the shoreline here. Oh, and I also need to, I'm going to mix in this green a little bit with the gray that I just used for the mountain and do the reflection. My mountain is slightly different, but I want to make sure that I have it in the reflection there. And I'm going to take the lighter color that I mixed up of what I called the wet hay color and add it along here for the shoreline. And then there are trees and there's a hillside area here. So the hill is going to come down like this. I may have to wait. Well, the trees, I may be able to put them in. I'll see. Making sure I get the sides as well so you can't see the paint from before on there. So I may lighten this a little bit, or when it dries I can go over with the same color. I do want to pull in a little bit more and mix in this wet hay color for down here. I feel like there should be a little bit more of a straw yellow in here, so let's take, because I am really trying to mimic those colors that I saw on my walk in the morning. I'm very good at mixing right near the edge of my palette. Have you noticed? So this may be a little bit too bright. Julie says, I'm doing your second reference photo from the garden workshop. Oh, cool. And Julie says, in gouache, even though I only have the crappy one with me. Oh, the Hemis, is that the one? And Meryl says she's painting Iris Apfel. Lovely. Oh, that coffee is so good. So good, so good. Okay. My blue, I think, needs to be a little bit greener. So I'm going to take some more yellow in there. See if I can mix it and become a little bit of a darker green. I noticed that there's another green here, so I'm going to mix that in with this olive green down here first before I put the trees in. It doesn't have to be as dark as those trees, but it determines the edge of the hill here. And if you weren't here right at the beginning, I am going to be sending out, we did do a third time lucky Patreon meet yesterday. It was very, very last minute, and I know that some of you couldn't make it. So I did record it, even though that there was just 3 of us in the meet because it was last minute, but I wanted to have something to send out to patrons and paid Substack subscribers because that's what I promised you guys. So that is being sent out this morning at some point. I know that I have classes, but I'm going to try and get it sent out. So some of you made the meet on Saturday, some of you didn't. We had a lot of fun with that, but it's nice to have it, to go back to it, and also just a reminder where the Padlet is, and so you can reuse it if you want to. All right, I need a smaller brush. I'm gonna put these brushes, I almost don't want, I'm just gonna do this because I hate not using the paint that I've got. So I'm just gonna put it on here because I do have to cover this anyway. And then I can, because I've got globules of paint on here, so then I can scratch. Okay, and that's almost dry, so that's good. Julie says, no, the study, oh, okay. Le Franc Bourgeois, though I don't like it. I got them on Vinted, so no big deal. I think Vinted is used quite a lot in Europe. I don't think it's used as much in North America. And I like how you can find art supplies on Vinted. Did you know that Beth Spencer, she also has an art material swap on her Substack? If you're a member of her Substack, she has an art material swap, which I think is so clever, because you know, you may be not using something and you want to swap it with somebody. I think all you have to do is you offer it for free and you pay for the shipping. I don't know how the actual swap works, because you may want something but not, or you may want to get rid of something but not want the other thing. I don't know how that would work. Does anybody know? Okay, I am picking up a little bit of the lighter color that I just put down, but it's okay. Like, I don't mind it being a little bit more muted or a little bit more mixed in with that color. And I like this part of the scene, which I don't think I drew in the beginning. And I think with acrylics, it's like oil. If you're doing a alla prima, it's just enough to have enough paint on your brush that it doesn't pick up what's underneath. Okay, so I have to be very aware of where I'm putting the reflections and where the trees are going to go. I'm going to leave it like that. Okay, so I've got one tree that has to be here and one next to it, a little one here. Look at the height relation of the trees that are in your reflection. This one here is almost as tall as these trees here. My background is not drying very quickly. Actually feels very similar to oil right now. I'm going to pull these up a little bit more. You can always correct what you've got in the reflection as well if you're adding too much like I just did. Okay, so then I have some trees which, oh, I should have put a much smaller area where the trunk was. It's okay. Julie says, it's clever, but postage costs are up in Europe. Oh, about the Vinted, yes. Hi, Amy. And Julie says, I have my own kid to give things that I don't want to use. Things to when I don't like supplies. Yes, that's always a good thing. You have somebody to hand over your supplies that they can play around with and try. If you're just joining, we are revisiting, or I am revisiting landscapes this week. Next week I'm revisiting, is it portraits next week? And then I have still lifes and cityscapes. Can't even remember what I put. Okay, I'd like it to be slightly darker down here, so I'm going to mix in my dark green with the green that I had. So I chose a palette very similar to what I saw the other day when I was walking Piper. It was a foggy morning, and the grass over here in Canada is very dead looking, like wet hay, I would say. Very different to in England. In England it is still very green and vibrant even in the winter, so just feels very dull. Everything's very dull, but I actually love the color palette, so I'm not too sad that it is like that. I didn't put any clouds back here. I could actually, because what happens is that the mountains are here, but you don't really see the clouds. But I could have a few here, so maybe I'll take my darker gray and just add, I'll just see, maybe just add a tiny little bit of that green into the gray. And I can put maybe a slight peak up here, a little area that looks like it could be cloudy, and then just add it down here. I think that would be nice to have that change. Right there. Don't love this little bump, so I'm going to get rid of that little bump. And I wouldn't mind having a little bit more light down here. So I'm going to clean my brush off and see if I can just take a little bit of that. Whoa, look at the time already. Crazy. I don't know if I'm going to get to the other one. I'm going to try though. Also, maybe just take a little bit of this up here on the hill. Oops, picked up a little bit of the other color as well. So I think this revisiting images could work. Make it, you know, make it in your own way. I think it could work. Okay, just gonna sign this one. Do it while I'm here, because if not, I will forget. Seems a little bit big on there. I kind of don't want it that big. Okay, scrapping it. I think I'll just sign it on the side. There we go. That's better. Off the front page. And I also want to change just the way the shoreline is here, because it was a little bit static. And also, I think these areas of light up here can be slightly more muted. They're a little bit too in your face. I like that phrase, in your in your face. In England, I don't know if you guys say it in North America, but in England we say in your face, like as if to say, told ya, in your face, like just like, you know, it's there. I don't know, maybe it's an old way of saying things. Okay, so that one is done. I'm happy with that one. And moving on to this one. Louise, do you say in your face? Maybe you don't say in your face. Maybe it's just me who says in your face. I don't know. I'm going to change this to this way around. Okay. All right. I don't have tons of paint here, but I'm going to use the paint that I have and trying to get this on. So I'm actually going to do a bit of scraping. Louise says, love this. Oh yeah. Louise says, I think I have said it before. I mean, it's not the kind, it's a weird thing. It's a weird way of, you know, talking, but, you know. C says, have to leave for PT. I may be signing in. That's okay. And Louise says, love the landscape, so relaxing to watch you paint. Oh, thanks. Thanks. Okay. So I'm going to stick with the same color palette for this one, I think. I'm just getting a little bit of it in with the scraping, and I probably will come in with my paintbrush in a minute. Go much darker with this color, just mixing it up. It would help if the card that I had wasn't rough either, and I'll show you how that would look if I just take a piece of cardstock. Well, no, I think it picks up probably the under coats here. Okay. I really like this, so I'm going to leave that there, but I'm going to take the other colors. There's a tree here, and I'm going to put in. And then there's a lot of this wet hay colour. Should be, I think, a little bit more on the yellowy orange side. So I'm going to take more of that. I'm going to try and keep, which I haven't done, the paint to the bottom part of the scraper. And just put some paint on the sides here, so it's not the right color at all. And I don't have grey for up there. Should probably mix a little bit more grey. Oops. I like this texture, but I still need to create the idea of the top of a hill. Oh, maybe I didn't. Maybe it was too obvious. Yeah, I think I don't like that. Okay, I'm going to mix up a little bit more grey. I need one of those squeezers for my, that's the only thing with this acrylic paint. I think I'm probably missing out on some of the paint inside here, because it I need one of those big squeezy things, the rollies. Meryl, do you have one? I can imagine Meryl has one. Okay, let's mix up some grey. This actually reminds me a little bit of the landscapes that I did before, so I may add collage, some pattern, you know, it may become a little bit like my 100 Days Renewal, where I'm adding a little bit of this and a little bit of that. Why is this not mixing in? I must have a lot of color on my, see how that, could do this with a brush, but it's very satisfying to do it with a big palette scraper thingy like this. Okay, I'm going to get this color on the side, even though it's not exactly the right color, but it's better than navy blue, dark blue. It's like plastering, isn't it? I don't know about you, sometimes you just need these days where you're being a little freer with your techniques. Because maybe something will pop out at you and you think, oh, actually I really like what I'm doing here. And maybe you'll be like, nah, that didn't work. But it's good to try different things. I'm going to put a few rocks down here. And I like how that is going on, but not everywhere. You can see that? I can take this colour. I'm getting very messy. I don't know why I'm wearing like one of my favourite shirts today. If you are taking my portrait class and you want to start along with us, please, you can arrive a few minutes early. I know that C is going to be a little bit late, but that's okay. She kind of knows the drill. She'll just join. But if you are taking my class, please arrive a little bit early so we can get started right on time. Okay, can you see the bottom there? You can't see the bottom there. Here, let me move this stuff up here. There we go. See, I kind of like that. I need to, oh, we still have 4 minutes. Look at that. We are good for time today. So using the same color palette as, oh, and I got lots of paint on here so that I can do some scraping, which is fantastic. I may do that, put all this paint in sketchbooks to get some nice flat pages primed. So taking two images or two paintings that I've done in the past of landscapes and revisiting them with a different color palette, or it could have been, and just on canvas, because I want to start doing more work on canvas. Which one do you guys prefer? The more traditional painted one or the, I love the textured one. So this is this one. You can see, hang on, this one, that's probably easier to see. Inspired by that one, and then this one is inspired by this, and the colors are a palette that I saw the other day on my morning walk with Piper. So yeah, thank you very much, everybody. I did not put my, I'm just gonna do this. Sometimes I do this for my signature. If I'm using like a lot of paint, I'll scrape it in. So I figure it's the same as writing it. Louise says, I would call that finished. Meryl said no. I'm not sure what you said no to. Heike says, big one. Love the texture. Yeah, it's, I think as long as you have your palette and you know how to translate like an image to something from something, I think it can work. Maybe there could be a little bit more back here, but actually I like, it really feels like, actually maybe a little bit back here. I just need to take a little bit of a lighter tone coming down from the mountains into this area down here. Just a little bit, because I don't like the way, the direction of that green that's right there. That's better. Okay. But I really like how you can use a palette and then revisit something that, even though I like this, to make it something a little bit different. So, and if you've taken a lot of my classes, Heike, Julie, a lot of you, maybe this is something that we could do together in a workshop, revisiting old images, because I feel like to make them yours and to use the colors that you want to use, I think is really important, to make them your identity, put your identity on your paintings. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Oh, no squeezer. No, you don't have a squeezer. All right, well, thank you so much for a great morning, everybody. I will be on at 9:45 if you're taking my portrait class, and 1:15 if you're taking virtual art retreat and coming to Malaysia with us. Have a really good day, everybody. Bye.